is a night that will shake WWE to its very core, is how Michael Cole described the draft at the start of SmackDown. And I hoped he meant this literally. I wanted a giant to walk in and just go, "Rah!" and started wiggling at some sort of foundations. That's right, I think we've begun. Also, hello my friends and welcome to Ups and Downs, the wrestling review show where I just point my finger around the place and words come out of my mouth and nobody knows what the flub is going on. But you know what that is a good metaphor and analogy for? Got that wrong. But you know what it's a good comparison about? Life. But yeah, this was the draft show, which kind of made me feel very oogly boogly. Because on the one side, I quite like it. There's always something exciting about going, oh, who's going to end up on Raw and SmackDown? But on the other, I don't think it's needed at all. It's more fun where the superstars can go wherever they want. Triple H came out though, and straight away Michael Cole called him the Game of Games, which he did apologise for later. But I was just laughing. I was like, oh, who knew? Paul Levesque is now a super video game. Well, we got right into the first round of the draft. And yes, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman are staying on SmackDown. Now, they were moved as a unit, or the next time we see them, they're going to be some horrible three-person hybrid, like a monster going blah, blah, blah. And nobody wants that, it's like The Fly. We also had our number one pick for Monday Night Raw, and it was Cody Rhodes. Oh boy. Now on the one hand, this is great for the American Nightmare, because in terms of how WWE sees him, he's on par with Roman Reigns, but on the other, him and the head of the table are now on different shows. So how the flub is Cody meant to finish the story? Winning a brand new World Heavyweight title doesn't tie into that at all. We did get a massive surprise though, because right after this, Bianca Belair, the Raw Women's Champion, is going to SmackDown. So I just put my hands together and I was like, please, please, please don't do that stupid swap belt thingamajiggy. To balance that out, we also found out that Becky Lynch was going to Raw. So this was somewhat of a roller coaster. But yeah, I can't stop thinking about Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes because I'm a very strange guy. But look, it is a Positive Pete show, and I'm a Positive Pete kind of a guy, even though my name is Simon, so I am going to give this an up. I believe that WWE has done this on purpose, and we will get to our destination. But look at me moving sheepishly. Even I think I've made a mistake here. Some people just want to watch the world burn. This was a heavy sports entertainment show too, because we were right into it with the Usos. Now they came out here saying, oh man, it's us, Jimmy and Jay, and we're going to win the tag team titles later, because of course we are having that rematch. But yeah, haven't really heard much from Roman Reigns. We wrote him a letter, nothing. We sent him a message, nah. No carrier pigeon, no fax, no email. But don't worry about it. I'm sure that he still likes us. They were also so happy that Reigns was staying on SmackDown. And I was like, why? Why do you give a flub about this guy? He's horrible to you. Which is when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn came out and said, hey, dudes, why do you give a flub about this guy? He's horrible to you. Sami especially wanted to go, can you not see what's happening here? Roman, Solo, and Paul Heyman have just gone as one unit, and they don't even care about you. In fact, I heard them talking about you in the back, and they think you stink. The Usos shot back that what he really needs to worry about is that Kevin Owens is going to turn on him, and this was just setting the scene, especially when KO was like, look, I am done with all of this. We're going to kick your ass later, and that'll be that. This was good though, because it reminded you what you should wait around for, and WWE did a really good job, because I was convinced the Usos were going to win. That would have been a terrible idea. Small spoiler, they didn't. Up. We were then told that the Brain Trust were working on the draft picks, and I was like, what? Have you got some cartoons in a room just deciding who's going to be Raw and SmackDown when we also had a live feed to the Performance Center? Because we are going to get some NXT call-ups later. Good. When we got some wrestling. Finally. It was a little bit random because it was LA Knight versus Butch, but as we were told, last week they had yelled at each other, so why the hell shouldn't they have a fight? This was really fun though, and we need more interactions with people like this because you've just never seen it before, so it's fresh like bread. Don't know why I was smelling bread there. And of course, Butch worked over Lars' fingers because he's just a little bit weird like that. Eventually, Knight was like, wait a minute, I'm going to have to use my hand at some point. So he smacked him back. Butch also hit a moonsault to the floor, which when he was mucking around on the top rope, and LA Knight just sprung up there and hit this amazing looking superplex. But after that, basically, they spilled out of the ring, they had a little bit of a brawl, they got back in the squared circle, when LA Knight hit the blunt force trauma, or whatever that thing is called, and he got the 1, 2, 3. And I was like, wait a minute, have I entered an alternative dimension? LA just got another victory. So surely we have to do something with him in the future because he's so damn good. As is Butch, by the way. Both of these guys should be on the path to Love Town, whatever that means, but it's getting it up. We were back with the Usos after this. They were hanging out with Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman, and I think that everybody wanted answers. Heyman didn't care though, because he said, well listen, you're either heading to the island of Relevancy or you're going to be going to the ocean of obscurity. So talk about putting pressure on somebody's shoulders. It was essentially, look, if you win the tag team titles, you'll get a hug, and if you don't, we'll kick you right in the teeth. There was also very much a wink, wink, nudge, nudge between Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa. This is all going to tie into later, but once again, even though this story has been going on for 7,967 years, they're so damn good at planting the seeds, and it feels like we're about to do something with Solo, which we should do. He should be a star of 2023. There's absolutely total madness next, because out came Rob Van Dam and Michael Hayes. I mean, who put them together? But of course we were doing this because we did have a bunch of special guests, given that it was the draft. How they picked some of these names, I don't know. As always, as soon as people realised RVD was here, he did get cheered. And when did he sign with WWE? Like in 2001. And literally every single year since then, this has happened. The man is going to be over forever. He also told us that the Street Profits are going to SmackDown. So I was like, oh, thank goodness for that. We didn't break them up. And as we were dealing with multi-person teams, Imperium, along with Gunther, the Intercontinental Champion, is heading to Raw. That makes sense. Gunther needs new bodies. The big surprise is that Edge is going to SmackDown, whereas Riddle is staying on Raw. And that one was just a little bit like, yeah, okay. Why not? Now, I think this whole Rated R Superstar thing was meant to be, oh my gosh, Edge is going back to Fridays, but it ties into what I've already said. I can't give this an up or down, because one, I'd rather Edge was on both Raw and SmackDown, and two, there's a part of my tum-tum, this part right here, that kind of thinks that WWE will give up on this draft in about a month, and they should too. As always, we shall see. Given that somebody had mentioned Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins as well, they did came out and they were like, whoa, we want the smoke, which turned into them versus the LWO versus Ricochet and Braun Strowman. It was good. Now, the plan must be to get the Profits rocking and rolling again, because they did win here. That was a great bit. When Braun was about to throw Ricochet, and understandably, given what happened last week, Rick was like, I don't know if I want to do this, but he did just grab him and launched him out of the ring. So he is a human projectile once more, and I'm pretty sure that's against the law. El Toro then did this massive dive, and Braun Strowman was all like, rah, and he started running around the place before he then got taken out by Angelo Dawkins. I was like, that's really entertaining. And through all of this, Ford had blind tagged himself in, Ricochet got into a spot of bother, he got hit with the frog splash, 1, 2, 3. So again, this was kind of just there, but why do I watch wrestling? To be entertained. And did this entertain me in a sports fashion? I do believe it did. Also, keep an eye on these Street Profits again. There's a future for them. I then got reminded about the Damian Priest Bad Bunny feud, which is going to culminate in a week, and I'm quite excited about when we got to the draft round 3. JBL and Teddy Long were out here, so I was like, man, Teddy's going to make some kind of random match with The Undertaker from nowhere, although that didn't actually happen. And instead, the first pick was Bobby Lashley to SmackDown. Much like Gunther, he probably needs this. He needs new opponents. It was the same with Raw because they got Drew McIntyre, so that is kind of like for like, when finally I could cancel all these milk cartons because they're not missing anymore. The OC were announced, and they too are going to SmackDown. Raw then got The Miz, which just makes sense. And we're here again. I can't do anything with this information. Like if a scientist ran out here right now, said, Simon, aliens exist. Maybe, but well, I really have to focus on that maybe part. So I don't want to get into it, and instead we will just move on. Because I think someone then realised, wait a minute, Rhea Ripley is facing Zelina Vega at the pay-per-view premium live event. I think we better do something with her. So it was Zelina versus Sonya Deville, and Sonya always gets put in these positions. And I presumed that it was going to be a showcase for Vega, much like she does in the Street Fighter 2 tournament. But no, instead, Sonya kicked the absolute crap out of her when we had to give Zelina the win, so she hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. The surprise roll-up, 1, 2, 3. So bring it down, the surprise roll-up counter goes up another one. The best part was that Rhea Ripley was out here so soon as the bell had rung, and she murked everyone. Chelsea Green is smart too, because she had come out with Deville, and she was like, I'm just going to leave now, and she's such a good character. And just when Rhea was about to hit the Riptide onto Zelina Vega, she turned it into a DDT. And the commentators told us like, see, there you go, maybe she can beat the Nightmare. And I was like, man, would you come on. Now look, this did get a reaction, so it did work, and the match was fine for what it was, and it is getting up. But this is not what we should have been doing. I already know that Ripley is going to win this match. You have to plant some kind of doubt in my mind. We didn't achieve that at all. I mean, she was beaten from pillar to post, Rhea the ring post, down. This Rhea Ripley though, man, she is so ready to fly. Don't screw it up. Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio also fined Vega after this. They were like, man, you did a great job and you're definitely going to become the champion. I was like, no, she's not. And we saw Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn getting ready. That felt like an invasion of their privacy. I also then got it confirmed that I can cancel these milk cartons because out came the OC. And the funniest part about this is that one, Mia Yim is just back with them. Don't worry about it. And two, AJ Styles acted like he was here last week. I was like, AJ, we haven't seen you in months. They weren't able to do anything either because the Viking Raiders interrupted. Then Styles took a step back and was all like, man, get 'em boys and toys. So everybody, including Valhalla, got into it. When AJ Styles got back on the microphone, I was like, way, I'm so good. And he hit a phenomenal forearm. I was like, what the flub was this? So I guess it was just a way to get AJ Styles back on TV, although we could have mentioned he has been away. But listen to what I just say. AJ Styles back on TV, AJ Styles back on SmackDown. He still feels like a super duper mega main event guy. I kind of love him, so I'm just gonna give him an out. Which is when out came Shawn Michaels and the Road Dogg. And I forgot at this point, because I'm so damn tired, that it was the draft. I had a mini meltdown. We also found out the Damage Control are going to SmackDown, so I presume we're going to do the breakup in front of our eyes, and why the flub not, whereas Shinsuke Nakamura is going to Raw. So if you were one of these people that touted the rumor of, oh, he's going to have a match with Roman Reigns, you lied to me. We then got into the nitty-gritty with the NXT thing, which did make all the sense in the world because Shawn Michaels runs that promotion, because we learned that the women's tag team champions are going to SmackDown. Because that's right, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are heading in that direction, even though I think they only just won these championships. But we also have to balance the books once again, so the NXT women's champion, Indy Hartwell, is going to Mondays. Oodalally. Now I absolutely love all of this, and it is going to get an up because these people have been working their ass off at NXT and now they get to shoot their shot. I hope they smash it, I hope they're absolutely brilliant, and I hope they're there for a long ass time to come. Support wrestling, people. Make you feel good. Like I say, up. We also saw Kaden Carter and Katina Chance go up to the tag team champions and be like, well, now I think we should fight you for those championships. And I suppose one of two things could happen. You could just change them in NXT, or I guess you could put them on the main roster, and then we'll have two sets of women's tag team championships. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but is anyone listening to me? No. We're also going to get an interview with Shinsuke Nakamura where Karrion Kross jumped him. You know the deal with Karrion. He thinks he's a clock. Tick-tock. Timmy and Jay then arrived for the main event as we saw Paul Heyman basically eyeballing Solo Sikoa like, you know what we're going to do here. Well, no, it was time for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn taking on the Usos for the tag team championships, much like they did at WrestleMania. That's just flipping excellent. We also found out during this that we are going to crown the brand new World Heavyweight Champion in a tournament, and it's going to feature both Raw and SmackDown superstars. What? Because Triple H obviously made a big old deal that if Roman Reigns goes to SmackDown, this is going to be the Raw World Championship, which it is going to be, which probably means that in about a month, WWE is just going to break the draft. Great. The Usos made sure to jump the champs at the start of this as well, as they probably were like, oh my gosh, Roman Reigns is going to kill us if we don't get the job done here. And these guys have such good chemistry forever. I think there was a fight forever chant at one point, and while logistically that's not possible, I could probably go a long ass while. Sami also got thrown into Rita the ring post at the moment as Kevin Owens started to take all these damn super kicks, which was going to get worse later on, when Sami Zayn got back in the ring and he hit the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment, do the chicken, the Blue Thunderbomb. And do you think it got the 3? No, it did not. It never does. KO then squashed Jimmy with a cannonball, but when he went for the frog splash, Jimbo was able to get his knees up. And right after that, Kevin was still able to hit the Fisherman Buster, as this got really good when we zoomed to the back. Ruh-roh. Because there we saw Paul Heyman on the phone, and he basically was talking to Roman Reigns, and he said to Solo, well, this isn't going very well, is it? We're pulling the trigger. Go do what you need to do. And I was like, oh no, somebody stop him. It was around the same time that Kevin Owens hit the stunner, so they did actually make a very good call if this wasn't what they wanted to achieve. But thankfully, the good guys have friends. Because as Solo was making his way to the ring, he got stopped by Riddle, who was like, you shall not do this on this day. And he didn't. This is when we did indeed start to tease the title switch, because the Usos hit Kevin Owens with so many kicks that were super, I started to laugh. I'm sorry. Owens must have taken some kind of power up before this. He just wouldn't go down. Because it was failing though, they went for the 1D, which is when Sami Zayn interfered, Kevin Owens hit the stunner, Sami Zayn was able to get the haluva kick, and they got the victory, and this was just such a good ending. Because it's people that you enjoy and people that you want to win, get in the win, and then you do the dance of joy. It also means Jimmy and Jay are now dead because Roman Reigns is going to kill them, and we cut to Solo Sikoa here, who's like, yeah, basically, you lot are toast, although he didn't do his job either. So maybe we've got to worry about him too. The cliffhanger was also the commentators going, oh, the Usos out of the bloodline now. So yeah, this thing just keeps on ticking on. Should say ticking, Karrion Kross will turn up. I said that word, and it is getting it up. Which brought us to the end of a very interesting SmackDown. I mean, there are more drafts being announced as I'm talking to you, which is the same for Raw. So we shall wait and see the lay of the land. But look, it's still fun, it works. It does make you massively interested about what WWE is gonna do. Giving it an up. Now please do leave a comment below and let me know what you think about the draft. A lot of people think that SmackDown got absolutely gutted, but do you believe that to be true? And make sure you click one of the videos on the screen right now. One could be an ups and downs video, and I appreciate your support. You can also like the video, share the video, and subscribe, and head over to WhatCulture.com and come say hello at WhatCulture WWE and Simon with 316. Obviously, Rampage Ups and Downs will be live later as well. The content never stops, and neither does my love for you. Goodbye.